Will, during your darkest moments, have you ever felt like God was nowhere to be found? Barron asked quietly, searching for answers beneath the surface. Will met his gaze thoughtfully. And you, Barron, how do you hold on to faith when the world around you seems determined to doubt every step you take? He replied, his voice steady yet full of empathy. The room, dimly lit and heavy with unspoken truths, held a charged stillness. Barron Trump sat directly across from Will Smith, two souls connected by an unexpected meeting arranged through a mutual friend. The atmosphere vibrated with anticipation, like the tense calm just before a thunderstorm unleashes its fury. Will's eyes locked onto Barron's, reading not just the boy behind the famous last name, but the unseen struggles and burdens that name carried. Barron, Will began, his voice calm but probing. Do you ever feel like there's a story inside you, a story no one really knows because they only see your last name? He asked, leaning forward, his gaze unwavering. Barron swallowed, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. Yeah, sometimes it feels like people judge me before they hear anything I have to say. Like my whole identity is wrapped up in a name I didn't choose. He answered quietly but honestly. Will nodded knowingly. That must be tough. But let me ask you something even harder. Where does God fit into all of this? In the chaos of who you're expected to be, do you feel like you found him? Or is he still somewhere out there, distant and silent? He asked gently, yet seriously. Barron looked down, searching for the words. I want to believe he's there, guiding me, but sometimes it's hard. When things fall apart or when I feel trapped by expectations, I question if he's really listening, he explained, doubt shadowing his eyes. Will took a deep breath, then spoke with the weight of experience. I struggled with that too, for years, but I realized faith isn't about never doubting. It's about trusting even when the answers don't come the way we want, he said. Your story, beyond your last name, is part of something bigger. It's a journey only you can walk, and God's presence is often felt in the silence between the noise. Barron met Will's gaze, a flicker of hope kindling within him. So you think my identity isn't just what the world sees, but something deeper connected to faith? He asked, needing reassurance. Will smiled softly, a spark of encouragement in his eyes. Absolutely. And sometimes the hardest part is letting go of who people think you should be so you can discover who you really are. That's where forgiveness comes in, starting with forgiving yourself and the expectations that weigh you down, he replied. Barron exhaled slowly, feeling the first cracks in his armor. I want to get there. I want to forgive, but sometimes it feels impossible when the pain runs so deep, he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. Will's expression softened. It's not easy. Forgiveness is a process, a journey of faith more than anything else. But I promise you, trusting that process, even when it's painful, will free you in ways you can't imagine, he explained. The room grew still as the two men sat in shared understanding, two souls wrestling with identity, faith, and the long road toward forgiveness. The evening shadows lengthened as their conversation deepened. The room felt like a sanctuary, a rare space where two men could speak freely about the burdens they carried. Will leaned back, folding his hands thoughtfully. Barron, tell me, have you ever considered that forgiveness isn't just about letting others off the hook, but about freeing yourself from a prison you didn't build? He asked, his voice steady but intense. Barron's eyes flickered with a mix of surprise and reflection. I've thought about it, but honestly, it feels like forgiving means forgetting or excusing what's been done to me. Sometimes that feels impossible, he replied, his tone heavy with inner conflict. Will nodded, understanding the struggle all too well. That's a common misconception. Forgiveness doesn't erase the pain or the past. It's about releasing the hold it has on your present. It's about choosing peace over bitterness, even when the scars remain, he explained, voice rich with conviction. Barron's gaze dropped to his hands resting on his knees. But what about when the hurt comes from those closest to you? When the betrayal cuts so deep, how do you even begin to forgive? He asked, voice trembling slightly. Will's expression softened, eyes filled with empathy. I've been there. The people who hurt us the most are often the hardest to forgive. But holding on to that anger, it's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Forgiveness is an act of self-love. It's a way to reclaim your power, he said. Barron nodded slowly, absorbing the weight of Will's words. And faith, how does that fit into this? How do you keep your belief alive when forgiving feels like surrendering? He asked. Will smiled gently, the kind of smile that carries both wisdom and hope. Faith isn't surrendering to weakness. It's surrendering to strength you can't see yet. It's trusting that God's plan is bigger than your pain. When you forgive, you're not giving up. You're stepping into the freedom God wants for you, he explained. The silence between them was filled with unspoken understanding. Barron's heart felt lighter, yet the road ahead was still daunting. I want to believe that, Barron said finally, his voice more certain. But I know it's going to take time. I'm willing to start, though, to try. Will reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Barron's shoulder. That's all it takes, one step. And remember, you don't have to walk it alone, he said, his voice full of encouragement. As the night deepened, their conversation became a lifeline, an honest exchange about pain, forgiveness, and the faith required to transform both. The night had settled fully now, and the quiet hum of the city outside contrasted with the intensity of their dialogue inside. Barron's questions grew deeper, his defenses softer. Will, Barron began, do you think redemption is really possible? For people like me, people born into a certain life, with expectations and judgments always weighing down? Can faith really change that story? Will looked thoughtfully out the window before turning back with steady eyes. Redemption isn't about erasing your past or the labels others put on you. It's about rewriting your story, with faith as the pen. It means embracing your mistakes and pain, but not letting them define who you are or who you can become, he answered. Barron nodded slowly, the weight of those words sinking in. So forgiveness is part of that rewriting? Not just forgiving others, but forgiving myself? Exactly, Will said. Self-forgiveness is the foundation. Without it, you carry a burden that crushes your spirit. Faith opens the door to that forgiveness. It teaches you that you are worthy of grace, no matter your past. Barron's eyes shimmered with unshed emotion. Sometimes I wonder, where is God in all this? When everything feels so unfair, when the world seems so harsh. Will's voice softened, but his conviction didn't waver. God is often quiet in the storm, but never absent. Faith is the choice to trust his presence even when you can't feel it. Redemption begins the moment you surrender your pain and let God fill the spaces you thought were empty. Barron took a deep breath, feeling a new kind of hope stirring. I want that forgiveness, redemption, peace, but it's going to be a long road. Will smiled gently. Every journey worth taking is. But remember, you don't walk it alone. Faith is the light guiding your steps, even when the path seems dark. They sat in silence, the bond forged by shared vulnerability stronger than ever. Life's journey is often unfair and unpredictable. No matter how fiercely we strive, some wounds don't heal on our schedule, and some battles seem impossible to win. It's easy to feel lost when prayers seem unanswered and forgiveness feels beyond reach. Yet it is precisely in these moments of struggle that faith becomes our most vital lifeline. Faith is not a guarantee that pain will disappear or that justice will come swiftly. Instead, it is the quiet assurance that we are not abandoned in our suffering. It is the courage to trust in a purpose greater than our immediate understanding and the strength to keep moving forward when the weight of life threatens to overwhelm us. Forgiveness, both of others and ourselves, is a radical act of liberation. It frees us from the chains of bitterness and regret, allowing us to rewrite our stories with hope and grace. This process is neither easy nor quick, but it is transformative. Barron's conversation with Will Smith illuminates a universal truth. Redemption is available to everyone willing to embrace faith, forgiveness, and the courage to change. In a world that often feels cold and unjust, it is this unseen journey guided by trust in something greater that ultimately leads us to peace. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts below. Your perspective is valuable and might inspire others.